To the index now. Late today, rapper Tory Lanez sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting and wounding Megan Thee Stallion. He was found guilty of shooting her in the feet in Los Angeles in 2020. The district attorney saying he has shown no remorse. In a written statement, Megan Thee Stallion telling the judge she has not experienced a single day of peace since the shooting.
This hurts for me to speak on this topic, but Toronto rapper Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in a California state prison. In the summer of 2022, Tory Lanez was found guilty on all three charges: carrying an unregistered loaded firearm, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, as well as the charge of a firearm with gross negligence. To summarize this situation in a few words, a night of pleasure turned into a night of pain. Tory Lanez has been exiled and blackballed from the music industry within these last 2 years. Ever since the incident first happened in July of 2020, many people have sort of shifted away from Tory Lanez, and social media sort of formed a gender bias, with the men feeling like Tory ain't do it, Kelsey shot her, Megan is lying, with the women feeling that Megan was shot by Tory and that we need to believe her and believe all women, which was a campaign that we saw being pushed a lot during this time. Now, for the most part, many people did believe that Megan was lying and that she stepped on glass, which is something that she first said when the incident first occurred. And her reason behind this was because, it was a Black Lives Matter with the George Floyd thing going on in 2020, and that she didn't want to cause any more harm or have the police run up in the spot like, hey, with the guns out, which, understandably makes sense. Megan essentially wanted to protect Tory, which is sort of questionable, seeing how far that this case and situation went. Now, it all started when Tory and Megan attended a Kylie Jenner pool party in the Hollywood Hills in the summer, which actually, it was said that Megan was upset that Tory Lanez was flirting with Kylie Jenner and showing her a lot of attention during this party. And now both of them were drunk during the setting because, they was drinking, they're grown folks. And actually, it's reported that Megan was actually kicked out by Kylie Jenner for being too drunk and tried to drag Tory out the party with her, and Tory wouldn't want to leave. So, however, when Megan left, she said she wanted to come back because she forgot her slippers, and then she came back and tried to drag Tory out. And once it got Tory, they dragged him out when she came back the second time, of course. And when they left, they had an argument in the car about who was a better rapper. And I guess Megan said that Tory Lanez was a D-level rapper. He's not on her level. Which, respectfully, Tory Lanez was a way bigger rapper until 2020 when Megan came out with Savage, and that song just took over the net like crazy. However, respectfully, before then, Tory was a bigger rapper, and obviously when someone talks about your rap career stature and how good you are as a rapper, it's basically like someone like comparing your resume, like, hey, I got more experience than you, I'm better than you, I'm the harder artist, and at the time, Megan Thee Stallion indeed was the harder artist. The argument over rap stature quickly escalated and led to the car they're driving in being pulled over, where all four people in the car, which was Megan, Tory, Kelsey, Megan's best friend, as well as Megan's bodyguard, getting out of the car. Now, what was ironic was Megan's bodyguard actually went missing somewhere in Qatar, wherever the World Cup was held last year, during this trial, which is kind of ironic because he was the only other, I would say, neutral witness other than Kelsey, who had to lie and plead the fifth to protect herself, who could have said something that, wouldn't have either supported both sides, but would have just been, I guess, the truth, you could say. Anyways, he went missing and the trial sort of went in, obviously, in Megan's favor. Now, this was talked about a lot during the Tory and Megan trial that if you have a witness who survived a shooting and is willing to go and testify against you, this is said by Tony Ayo, G-Unit, of course, why would you take it to trial? You have a witness who's going to say, he did on this day, he was wearing this, we were right here when it happened on this street in California, he did it. Why would you take it to trial? Now, what we have to realize is Tory Lanez is Canadian. And shout out to the Canadian brother because I'm Canadian too, you know what I mean? With him being an artist, if you were to take the plea deal, because, a couple plea deals under the radar were offered, which is a couple of years or so, he would most likely get deported. And if you know hip-hop turns 50 this year, and hip-hop is predominantly American. It's he's going to all these shows in New York, Atlanta, LA, all these type of, American cities. So for him to get deported, he can never come back to America again, which is basically the majority of his consumer market. So why would he take a plea deal? Why would he not fight and take the trial? But it's crazy because with him getting 10 years, 10 years is what I look at as a murder charge. Maybe you get a self-defense, a manslaughter. You killed someone, which, you didn't want to, but a situation led to that. They provoke you to. But 10 years for this, and the DA was going for more. The DA was trying to get him 22 for Legos, which is crazy. But it's yes, Tory made a bad decision. But from the consumer, or I guess the fan perspective, just you looking in, you kind of feel like there wasn't enough information that granted a conviction, shall I say. It's we got Kelsey, the only other person who was at the scene of the crime, who wasn't Tory or Meg, which means not really biased, who appeared in court pleading the fifth. Now, what are reasons people plead the fifth? That they have involvement in the crime, or they don't want to say something that can basically get them convicted because they had involvement in a crime. Now, we don't even know what exactly happened. We heard witnesses saying that they saw or they heard a gunshot fired 5 times. One of the times was by, a small male, which is saying it was Tory, of course, but nothing really points to him shooting at the ground or shooting at her feet. And with Kelsey, the best friend, who, let me tell you why, for those you don't know why they even fell out. Kelsey and Megan were best friends from college in Texas, H-Town girls, whatever you want to call it. And during COVID, the pandemic, Kelsey was introduced to Tory by Megan. They're both friends. Megan and Tory are friends. They introduced Kelsey to her. And Kelsey and, Tory started dealing intimately. And I guess when Kelsey got sick during the pandemic, she went back to Texas, and Megan and Tory were spending more time together. And they started, rendezvousing and things of that nature. Now, obviously, people are saying, if you ask TK Kirkland, he's going to say Tory Lanez was not player enough to handle both, and teach his own. Tory Lanez was caught in the center of a love triangle, and things just weren't going his way. Now, obviously, you can see Kelsey and Megan were 2 best friends. However, when Kelsey got sick, Megan was smashing on her man, aka Tory, which caused, a rift between the 2 individuals, and they actually fought. Hence why, when it came to this trial, Kelsey took the stand and wanted immunity because she obviously knew that she was involved in some foul play way that could make Tory look, I guess, a bit of an innocent, and she obviously doesn't want to go to jail. And this is why I feel like with this trial, sure, you can say Tory shot his gun up in the air because, that's what they said, but how do we know that he shot her? And people are going to say, oh, it's obvious because they shot 5 times, she had a bullet fragment in her foot, which was true, but I just feel like the series of events aren't very linear and aligned to what we've heard in court. It's like multiple stories. When Megan first came in court, it was more of her, weighing down the jury with the sob story, her crying, saying that she thought she was going to die that night. And this ain't to ignore Megan's feelings because how she felt was valid. It's like, a lot of times we acknowledge, and it's sad to say that the black woman is the most unprotected and unloved individual in America and in the world. And with this case going on, obviously, I don't want to say that this confirms it, but definitely says that she wasn't protected in any manner. If you can recall, when the shooting first happened, they brought in gunshot residue experts, and they found GSR found on Tory Lanez and Kelsey. Now, after calling the DNA expert, they found 4 DNA profiles on the gun, however, none believed to be Tory. Now, you may say, how is this possible if Tory Lanez allegedly shot the gun 5 times and no DNA is on the gun? Which is actually a very good question because if Tory Lanez shot the gun 5 times, this is after a pool party, he has no shirt on, all the gunshot residue would have been on him because he fired the gun, which was something that was very unclear. And with gunshot residue being on Kelsey, you think that she should be investigated just as much as the suspect as Tory. However, that was not the case, and she was actually basically X'd out of the equation. A couple months before the trial, Kelsey met with the prosecution to basically, give her a statement to prepare for court. Now, we all know, for each side, the prosecution and the defense, the prosecution has their witnesses and rehearse with them what they're going to say and how they're going to say it, and basically how they're going to answer to the leading questions. Now, after Kelsey met with the prosecution, she basically said that, Tory shot Megan and that she saw it. However, when she got on the stand to testify in December last year, she said that never happened, that, she was forced to lie on Tory. With her saying this, people brought up allegations of Tory, basically silenced her with $1 million. And apparently, they say that Megan said that, they're like, oh, please don't tell, I'll give you $1 million, which, not to make light or laugh at the situation, so it reminds me of, like, if you ever, hurt your little cousin when you're play fighting, you say, yo, please don't tell, you can hit me back. Like, anyways, man, you get what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is, it was just a lot of stuff that just something ain't right. You know what I mean? If Kelsey were to be paid off by Tory from July of 2020, so let's say 2 years because he got sentenced or locked up in December, right? What makes you think that she would then take the millions of dollars, because that's what she was allegedly given, by the prosecution. She would take the $1 million for the past 2 years, and then in, let's just say, September, a couple months before the trial, she did an interview with the prosecution where she said that Tory shot Meg, which, she just did what they wanted to hear, told her what they wanted to hear. And then in December of last year, she hopped on the stand where she put her hand on the Bible, right hand on the Bible, tell nothing but the truth, so help me God. And then she said that Tory didn't shoot Megan, that she was coerced. And then she took the stand before then and said that she has to plead the fifth because whatever she may say may put her in harm's way, and admit that she was involved in criminal activity. How does that not align with foul play and that Tory wasn't the sole perpetrator, or if anything, the perpetrator at all in this situation? What I'm going to say right now is Toronto took an L. Alone at Prom by Tory Lanez is one of the hottest albums that came out during 2021 and 2022. And no, I'm not saying because someone makes hot music or the music is good that excuses them from the accountability and consequences of their actions. But what I am saying is this whole trial had a bunch of foul play. Nothing in this trial was clean. Nobody was playing fair. Everybody playing dirty. Like playing dirty, not clean, all summer 16, whatever you want to call it. It was not clean and it was not linear. Prior to this trial, Tory Lanez spoke on Roc Nation. Now, Roc Nation was the people who obviously were supporting Megan. They paid for her lawyers. She had Alex Spear, one of the best lawyers in America, entertainment lawyers, of course. You know, the dude went to Harvard. Basically, he's a crazy guy, knows what he's doing, right? So Tory Lanez spoke on Roc Nation how basically days before, you know, Megan made a statement about what happened or the shooting, that Roc Nation messaged him and said, hey, it's in your best interest that you don't make a statement and don't speak on what happened. And the reason is they feel like he might just try and mess up the narrative for him, and they might say something that looks bad on Megan, aka the artist. Now, Roc Nation, you know, we see everyone at the Roc Nation brunch, and Roc Nation just has a bunch of management deals with other artists where I don't know what exactly they do. It just looks like a front where they're all Swiss Beats, Diddy, Jay, all of them at some brunch. Definitely not Dame Dash, of course. They're all at some brunch wearing whites and just DJ Khaled, you know, let's go golfing, just drinking, you know, mimosas and stuff. So we don't really know much about that, but it really looks like that they're not even doing anything. It just looks like a front. Like, you know, they got a management deal, which is like probably just little stuff, but they got the Jay-Z cosign, which is what a lot of artists want, especially coming from the struggle or from the hood. Tory Lanez is actually a very smart guy. And after when he left Interscope Records in, I believe, 2020 or 2021, he went fully indie and the industry had it out against him. You know, the Roc Nation tried to sign him, which he declined, of course. And ever since then, it's been smoke. You know, Tory Lanez cracked the code with the middleman. Usually we see artists having to sell millions of records to even get 100,000, or basically the conversion of streaming is just off. Like, you make no money. Tory Lanez came out with the NFTs where he gonna sell 1 million NFTs for $1, and he made $1 million just selling an NFT, which was like, you know, a song or like a digital asset that, you know, was a part of him. And for you to get $1 million off a record, you probably need like, what, 100 million streams. Like, the mathing and the numbering for streams is crazy. Like, the money with the, it's like watch hours and like the streaming just like, there's no money in music from streaming. Like, rappers get rich from other aspects of, you know, the business and just, you know, their status. Like, you look at Snoop Dogg, he's with Martha Stewart and all these other shows, you know, he's acting. You look at 50, you know, has his own liquor brand. Diddy has his own liquor brand. 50 got Power, BMF, all of the shows. Like, really, it's just like you knowing what to do and moving accordingly in your situation. But I'm going to make it clear, after Tory Lanez left the major record labels, the industry was out to get him. He cracked the code. He was making money by himself. He didn't need them, and they want to do something about it. Now, I'm not saying that Roc Nation framed Tory or basically put him in a situation, but ever since that incident happened, it's kind of ironic that Megan gets Roc Nation lawyers. I'm pretty sure she has a deal with 300 Entertainment, which is where she's actually signed to, and 1501 with Carl Crawford. So this whole, you know, kerfuffle is just crazy. Like, real rap. Not gonna lie though, 10 years is crazy. Before sentencing, the judge gave him time to obviously, you know, make his, I guess, I don't want to say pity speech and like make fun of him, but basically gave him his last chance to speak before the courts, to influencing his decision. You know, talked about he had a rough life coming up. I'm pretty sure his dad actually spoke, saying how, like, you know, Tory lost his mom when he was 11, and, you know, that really changed him. And, like, you know, not to put like a victim mentality on Tory or XYZ, but like him and Megan both bonded because like they both lost their parents when they were young, and they were both heavily alcoholics. Like, I'm not trying to like beat around the bush saying that was okay for her being hurt. I'm not saying that, and that's not true, but they were both heavily alcoholics, and that led to a certain stem of events. It's like, you know, a night of pleasure turned into a night of pain. Tory Lanez's lawyer, Jose Baz, went on to obviously defend Tory and basically portray him in like, you know, a remorseful and sympathetic light prior to sentencing. And he said, I've seen vehicular homicide and other cases where there's death and the defendant still gets less than 10 years, which is very true. Like, I'm not saying 10 years as in, oh, Tory should walk out tomorrow and say like, oh, I don't care, I did it and what, but like 10 years? A dub? I'm pretty sure a dub is actually 20, but like still, like that's like some murder time or some grand robbery, aggravated assault. Like that's some serious smoke and some serious jail time. So Megan was in court Monday and actually had, you know, a bit of a, I don't want to say testimony, but she spoke on how she felt towards Tory and said how she felt prior to sentencing. Originally the DA and Megan's team wanted Tory to get 15 to 20 years, which is crazy. Like, that is murder time. But anyways, Megan said, since I was viciously shot by the defendant, I have not experienced a single day of peace. Slowly but surely, I'm healing and coming back, but I will never be the same. When a witness who gets shot is willing to take the stand against you, the odds are not looking ever in your favor. Now, what I will understand is, because like I said, man, I'm Canadian, so I understand the game. Tory didn't want to have career suicide, man. Like, he takes this little 2 years, because anybody's like, oh, why would he take the 2 years? That's light. He can just come out, even if he didn't do it, take the time, yada, yada. Bro, this is his career he's talking about. That 2 years means nothing. He gets deported. He can't do a show in America ever again. Americans love Tory. Tory was down in Miami doing the whole quarantine radio. Megan's up in there twerking. There are a lot of women up there twerking. Rappers are coming in and see what's going on. Like, it's not about the time or even about the money, but it's also like, if I'm Tory Lanez, I'm paying my lawyer an M to go to court and I'm still losing, somebody getting their ass beat, man. It just got to be like that, yo. Like, I'm dropping $1 million and I'm still going to jail for 10 years? Huh? Anyways, man, nothing was positive came out the situation. I have a black woman that was obviously hurt because there was bullets in her foot. So we did think that, oh, she's lying. Nope, it was true. She was telling the truth. There was bullets in her foot. They have a black man in jail for, I guess you can say, I don't know, bad decisions or being in the wrong place, wrong time, whatever you want to call it, because it wasn't cut and dry like that. But the reality of the situation is a night of pleasure turned into a night of pain. Jared a star. I'm gone.